friends, it's been a while. I feel like my whole life has changed since the last time I talked to you. And yes, I'm tired as always. My face is tired. But yeah, I have been like waiting to restart these videos until everything was like perfect or the right time. But joke's on me, because nothing's ever perfect and there's not a perfect time to do anything. So, and also, let's be real, like, the main reason I do this is to like preserve memories for me, because even though I want to be a journaler, like, I suck at it. I'm just not. I can't. I'm one of those people that has like a million notebooks unwritten or like one entry. So anyway, this is a lot easier for me to do, and it's like, I don't know, just more fun to like watch videos of like our cruise or our trip to the beach last year than like reading about it. So anyway, cheers to documenting our life and doing it in the mundane times, not just in the fantastic abnormal times. So yeah, I definitely need to catch you up, do a recap. It's been well over a year since I filmed last. I'm a registered dietitian now, which is insane. It's crazy to be like just done with something that you've worked for years of your life for. But we'll get into that a little later. Anyway, today's Monday. Happy Monday if you're watching this on a Monday. I had a client today, but she canceled. So we're just gonna do like our to-do list today. I have a lot of like cleaning and cooking to do, just like prep cooking. There's a lot of exciting things going on next week. We are gonna go to FNCE, which is the National Conference for Dietitians, which I've been dreaming of going to for so long. So I'm really excited about that. And then the next week, all my family is gonna be here because my brother's getting married, and he's getting married kind of close to where we live. So my whole family is staying here, which is gonna be really fun and chaotic, and but it's gonna be a blast. So yeah, I'm just so excited for my brother and his fiance. I love her so much, and she's just like a great addition to our family. So I'm really excited about that. And then I also need to get a package out for her today. So come along with me. We're gonna get a lot of stuff done. I think this probably will go for the next few days because I don't have enough content for just Monday. But yeah, thanks for coming along with me. Glad to be back. Let's go do stuff. Also, whipped cream on black coffee is like amazing. If you haven't tried it, try it. Okay, I'm gonna cut up a couple onions to get in the Instant Pot to make chicken stock, so we can get that going while we do some other things. Okay, so now that we have that done and going, I need to go upstairs and change our sheets and fold some laundry. So let's go. Okay, so third time's the charm filming this, but I just got to Target. I need to make a return. We've had a productive day so far. Chicken stock's going, laundry's going. And yeah, I'm sending a really exciting package off to my future sister-in-law today, so I need to grab a card for that and do a return. May have already said that. But yeah, let's go have a little fun in Target. I have a little bit of time so we can walk around and see what's new. And then I think I'm gonna stop at Sam's, possibly plus Costco. I need to look at some like breakfast options. If y'all have any like easy, like protein rich breakfast ideas that are like savory and not sweet, I know, LOL, registered dietitian struggling with food. But listen, like none of us are perfect. We all have our like areas of struggle, and like breakfast is a really big struggle for me, but I know I need to eat it because I just feel better throughout the day if I eat breakfast, especially like one that's heavier in protein and not just like bread and carbs. That doesn't make me feel my best. But anyway, yeah, let's go into Target and have some fun. Okay, so I'm looking at cards, and can anyone tell me why good cards are stupid expensive? Like, I don't know how much they are where you live, but here around Raleigh, they're like $8. It's crazy. I mean, I keep cards, so, but I know not everyone does that. But it seems crazy to spend $10 on something that might just get thrown away in the trash. I'm looking at some jewelry because I definitely need some for the wedding in a couple of weeks. It's been a minute since we've talked. It's Thursday now. I'm freshly showered and just in comfy clothes. I didn't have any clients today, so I've just been running errands. And now we're gonna do something really fun. We're gonna bake some British scones. Tomorrow is a really big day in our house. It's the premiere of the Great British Bake Off. And it's up there with my favorite show of all time. So I thought it would be fun to bake some British treats, and we have some fun like British candies and cookies that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. So I thought we would have like a little like afternoon tea tomorrow to celebrate while we watch the Great British Bake Off. So I'm really excited about that. And so we'll have those with clotted cream and jam, and I am so excited. I can't wait. I love a British scone. So we're gonna do that, but first I need some coffee or an energy drink. I don't really need the caffeine, but also like I kind of like mentally need the caffeine, if you know what I mean. We love coffee in this house. Like any good millennial, we've made coffee our entire identities. But we've also really been liking Alani Nu energy drinks recently. We tried, let me go grab it. We've tried the Witch's Brew flavor recently. It's like caramel apple, and it tastes legitimately like those like green apple caramel suckers that we had when we were kids. So it's actually really refreshing and it's really good, but I can't decide what I want to go for because while I want to have both, I can only have one. Which would you choose? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so I've been thinking about it, and it's really dreary outside, and I want to just make it cozy in here. So why don't we go make some coffee together? You grab a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you want, and we'll meet back here and start baking. that I did not soften my butter, so we need to let that soften. While that's softening, I'm gonna feed my sourdough starter and do a couple other things, and I will catch up with you in a little bit. It's been a little bit longer than I expected, but we are gonna make the scones now. This recipe is the Queen's recipe, Mary Berry. Unfortunately, she no longer hosts the show. I do love Prue, but Mary Berry will always have a special place in my heart. So we are going to make her recipe for English scones. It calls for self-rising flour, which we don't keep on hand, so I'm going to make my own. So we're going to start with 450 grams of all-purpose flour. I really love weighing out recipes, especially for baking, because it just makes it a lot simpler and you don't have to dirty as many dishes. So that's great, but you can make your own self-raising flour. Self-raising flour is just all-purpose flour with baking powder and salt added to it. So that is what we are going to do. So we are going to do 7.5 teaspoons of baking powder because we are making our own baking powder, but the recipe also calls for extra baking powder. This recipe also calls for 50 grams of caster sugar, but I am going to use granulated because that's what I have. We also need to put salt. So we're gonna put, I think, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. We need 1 teaspoon for the self-raising flour, but we also want our scones to have flavor, so I'm gonna add 1/2 teaspoon. The recipe does not call for salt, and the butter that I'm using is unsalted. So I just want to make sure that they taste really good on your own, because especially bread products, if it doesn't have enough salt, it just tastes like nothing, and it's not great. We also need to preheat our oven, so I'm going to do that. We're going to preheat our oven to 425. I will be sure to link the recipe that I'm using down below because it is available online. So now let's just stir this together. We're only going to add a couple more ingredients in here. We're going to add our butter, of course, and then 2 eggs and a little bit of milk if needed for some extra moisture. So we are going to add the butter in. This is almost a stick minus a couple of teaspoons. And we're just supposed to just kind of work the butter in with our fingertips until it gets the consistency of fine breadcrumbs. And I'm going to be using gloves for this because my nails are longer than normal at this point, and I don't want a bunch of the butter to get stuck beneath my fingernails. So I'm trying to just keep it in my fingertips, not go to my palms, because your palms have more heat and you don't want the butter to melt. You kind of just want, it's kind of like making American biscuits, except there's less butter for sure in these, and eggs and no buttermilk. But you kind of want the butter pats to like go thin so that it creates flakes and layers. So while I'm doing this, I realized that we haven't really officially caught up yet from the last year, so I thought I would just do that while I'm working the butter in here. Yeah, the last year has been absolutely insane. While I was in it, it felt so like it was taking so long, especially the clinical portion of my internship. But now looking back on it, it feels like it was over in more than a blip, but like a little bit of a blip. But yeah, if you've been around here for a while, I graduated with my master's degree in nutrition. from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, last year, which is crazy because it feels like 2 years ago. And I matched with my number one choice dietetic internship, which was Meredith College here in Raleigh. So we moved. We used to live in Texas, and now we live in Raleigh, North Carolina. We moved here for my internship. And so far, I finished my internship in May, and so it's been a few months now that I have felt like I've been human enough to like explore the city, and we really like it. I would move back to Texas in a second. I miss it, but I don't know that we would move back like unless we had a reason to move back, you know? So it's been fun just like exploring a new city and or cities, because we live in a pretty like populated area, and of course we have like Durham that's close, and Chapel Hill, and Cary, and so like there's a bunch of restaurants for us to try and coffee shops, which has been really good. Trying just to make sure that I'm not missing any big chunks of butter. There's some. So yeah, but I mean, obviously there's definitely pros and cons that come with moving across the country and to a place that you don't know. I'm sure if you've ever moved for a job or anything like that, it's kind of hard to make friends and like build a life. And so we've just kind of we've been very like blessed and lucky in that we really found a church that we love quickly and started like making friends quickly. But you know, like it takes some time to like build your life, and especially like over the last year I've been so busy like trying to finish my internship, and that doesn't necessarily leave a lot of time for like personal growth, because once you're like done working at the hospital, you're like zapped, so all you want to do is go home and go to bed. So yeah, it's been great, but it's also been really hard, and I've struggled with anxiety and depression basically my whole life, and so like those things have definitely like come back, especially here recently, just because I feel like I have more time to like think and process now. So my brain's just not going like, okay, what fire do we have to put out next? So yeah, but everything's good. I have a job as a registered dietitian, which is really fun. It is totally like from the Lord that I have this job, and I'm just really lucky. I'm basically doing a version of my dream job right out of school, which I never would have thought. But yeah, I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit, the recipe says that we might not need all of it, so I'm gonna hold a little back because we do want it to be like loose, but not too loose. Now I'm regretting not stirring this up with that thing. Okay. I think I'm gonna try to get this off and stir it with the other implement. Anyway, going back to becoming an RD, I passed my RD exam on the first try, which I was like, as we all are, terrified of. Of course, the price increases every year, and it's so expensive to take. So I really didn't want to have to take it more than once, but it turns out I didn't have to, which was awesome. So I did that in June, and shortly after that, I got a job at an outpatient counseling center that I really enjoy, and all my clients are so sweet, and so now I'm just working on building up my client base, which is really fun. So yeah, I'm sure there's like a lot more that I could say that has happened in the last year, but that's where I'm at now. I can't, if you would have told me that I would have basically my dream job and I would survive the year and everything would be okay last year at this time, when I was like 3 weeks into my dietetic internship and I was working at a hospital and I didn't hate it. I'll do a whole different video on like dietetic internship tips and like all that stuff. Like, I'm really thankful that I had to do a clinical internship, because a lot of the jobs for dietitians out there are clinical jobs. And so going into the internship, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. There's gonna be nothing redeeming about it. And while I definitely didn't enjoy it, I definitely learned that it's something that I can do. Like, if we were in a position where I needed to get a job, like, and I didn't have the luxury of like choosing a job, I just had to take whatever job would take me, that I definitely could do a clinical job and it would be fine. So yeah, okay. I am going to flour this surface a little more and then we will roll these out. Just gonna fold this and work this a little bit until it comes into one mass. And I'm sorry if there are any British people watching, and I'm probably making you feel like you're dying inside, and I'm so sorry. This is the first time I've ever made scones, and I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing, but also not really. So if you have any tips, I'd love to hear them. Now this recipe is for mini scones, but I actually don't have a scone cutter, so I'm just gonna use a glass and make regular size scones. Okay, so I am going to use a wine glass to cut these out because, like I said before, I don't have, I'm sorry, there's a terrible sound outside. I don't have biscuit or scone cutters, so I'm just gonna use a wine glass, which will be fine. But when you're cutting out biscuits or scones, you wanna be careful not to twist as you're coming up, because that seals the cut and it makes the layers seal together. So even though I'm trying to be careful to get all the way out to the edge, I don't want to twist as I come up. With cookies, that's okay because you're not really wanting layers unless you're making a specific type of cookie. But with biscuits and scones, as much as possible, you want to have those flakes and layers because that's what's delicious about them. So I'm just gonna keep cutting these out, and then I'll re-roll the scraps and see how many scones I can get out. Okay, so I'm just taking these scones and putting them on the baking sheet that is lined with parchment paper. Trying not to mess them up as I take them off the island. This first roll got us about 7 scones. So I'm thinking we might get about 10 in total. about 12 minutes and I'll show them to you when they're done. The scones are done. Let me show you. Let me turn you around and show you. I'm so proud. So these were the second batch that I actually put in the oven first. So there was one from the first, like when I say batch, I mean rollout. So a couple of them are like a little weird looking, but one of them looks really good and I'm really excited. All right, so here they are. This is the one from like the first rollout, and I feel like it's definitely like, sorry, it's definitely like tilted a little bit, but it looks so good. But I mean, the other ones look good too. They're just a little like shorter and stouter, but I'm sure they're still gonna taste delicious, and I'm very excited. Y'all, I have to take this second batch of scones out of the oven, but I have something to tell you. These got a little brown, but ignore my dirty kitchen. Look how pretty they are. They look perfect. Amazing, right? No. I am so sad to tell you that these scones are a fail. They are actually inedible. I had a bad gut feeling about putting that much baking powder in, but oh my gosh. When I tell you, you can taste the baking powder in a bad way, like it is not good. So I'm gonna have to make another scone recipe, which I'm really sad about, but at least I guess I know I got the technique down. But I'm so sad because they're pretty. They turned out exactly how I wanted them to, but y'all, oh my gosh, 0 out of 10 would recommend eating these. So I will make another batch and update you after that batch is done what kind of leavener I use and what proportion I use, because ooh, this ain't it. Friends, happy Monday. It's been another couple of days. I thought I would give you an update on the scones. So I did make another batch that was successful. These are the final product. So they have layers. There's no cracking on top, which is great. And these are much better than the other ones. So first of all, I made a huge rookie mistake in baking those scones. I feel like I've never done this before in all the years I've been baking, but I used baking soda instead of baking powder, which is the number one mistake. And the second mistake was obviously that there was way too much. I think even if I had used baking powder, there would have been way too much. So I will write this, as I said, down with my notes in the recipe in the description box. But I just used the same amount of flour and then a tablespoon and a half of baking powder total. And it worked perfectly, and they taste really delicious. So if you have any interest, I highly encourage you to make these scones. They're very easy and they're very yummy. And especially if you're used to eating biscuits, these are kind of like lighter and sweeter. There's not as much butter in them. There's, I think, less than half of the butter that's typically in normal biscuits. But I don't make biscuits on the regular, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, I hope you guys have had a great weekend. I am about to go run some errands and just wanted to wrap up this video here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.